What is the salary of a Cuban doctor? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a doctor in Cuba? The salary of a Cuban doctor is a topic that reveals much about the country's healthcare system and economic challenges. A Cuban doctor typically earns around 10,000 Cuban pesos each month. This amount translates to roughly $400 at official exchange rates. However, when you consider the purchasing power and inflation on the island, the actual value of that salary can feel much lower. Cuban doctors often work long hours, and their salaries can include payments for overtime and additional shifts. This means that if they work nights or weekends, they might see a slight increase in their earnings. Despite these efforts, many doctors find that their income is not enough to cover basic living expenses. Essential items like food and household necessities can be hard to afford. In Cuba, the economy has faced high inflation and rising costs for essential goods. For instance, doctors can buy basic staples like rice and tomatoes, but more expensive items such as meat are often out of reach. The shortages of medicines and medical supplies in hospitals add to the challenges they face in their profession. Recently, the Cuban government has introduced some salary benefits. These include additional payments for night shifts and high-performance work. While these changes can increase a doctor's income by a few thousand pesos, they still do not fully address the gap between wages and living costs. Interestingly, many Cuban doctors participate in international medical missions. When they work abroad, for example in Brazil or the Bahamas, they can earn significantly higher amounts. Some reports indicate that doctors working in these countries receive stipends of around $1,000 to $1,200 per month. However, it is important to note that a large portion of these payments goes to the Cuban government rather than directly to the doctors. This means that the professionals often receive only a fraction of the total amount paid for their services. From a cultural perspective, the role of Cuban doctors is deeply connected to the revolutionary history of Cuba. After the Cuban Revolution, there was a strong emphasis on expanding medical education as part of social reforms. The state invested heavily in training doctors, reflecting a cultural belief that healthcare is a right and a social good. However, the economic realities faced by doctors today highlight the challenges of working within Cuba's constrained economy. In summary, Cuban doctors earn modest salaries that often do not meet their basic needs. While additional pay for overtime and special work is available, it does not fully alleviate their financial struggles. International missions provide opportunities for higher earnings, but the benefits are limited for the doctors themselves. Their situation illustrates the legacy of Cuba's commitment to healthcare and the economic difficulties of the current system.